Good morning, my beautiful friends, and welcome. Did you know that vampires can help with homochromatosis? And you're like, that's a little bizarre. How could a vampire help with a disease I've never heard of? Well, you may not have heard of that term, but it's when your body stores too much iron. So the only time that actually bloodletting works is with this particular disease. If you have too much iron, you can donate blood and it brings your iron levels down to a healthier range, a safer range. So in that way, a vampire could possibly help you in your life. The point of this being, we should always be quick to hear, slow to judge, and really slow to condemn. So quick to hear, slow to judge, slow to condemn. It may be a silly analogy, but it's important to realize that something as scary as a vampire, these mythical creatures, could actually have a benefit. So when we look around in life, in the world, and we're told there are vampires everywhere, that person's a vampire, that idea is vampirous, all these horrible things, we want to back up a little bit and say, well, really, is there any possible good in that person, in that idea, in that concept? Have you ever had an idea change? Have you ever had an opinion you have change, a conviction change? You get new information, you have an experience that alters your thinking, or you meet somebody that went through something. Probably the most dramatic ones are something that you've never experienced, like appendicitis. You can see somebody go through it and say, boy, that looks really unhappy and painful and all that. But until you actually go through it, you have no idea how excruciating it is. It is literally like being stabbed in the gut and left to die, because you really are. Being careful in judgment and making sure that we are as open-minded as we can be. Not to torture yourself with being open-minded at all, because I think we need to live in conviction. We need to have convictions. We can't function in life if we don't have beliefs. But each time our belief system is challenged, it's a chance to make our beliefs stronger, and for good reason, for the greater good for you, for your family, for it's come from. I have one of my daughters is very level-headed and would be a great psychologist, psychoanalyst, whatever. She's very intelligent and very intuitive, and she also is very patient and listening most of the time. I used to have to drive her around quite a bit, extracurricular activities as a child, so she was kind of my captive audience. In my younger years, expressing incredulity about this or that or the other thing, it should be this way, they should do this, and she would listen patiently and could never seem to trigger her until one day we're driving down the road and I happened to mention Walmart. And man, she got animated instantly. Bing, 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 lights started going off and how bad this is and bad that is and child labor and cheap products and why do we need all this stuff anyway? And it was amazing to watch, and I just kind of sat there while I drove there and just listened to her go on for a minute, and I said, well, at least I can't get any passion out of you about many things, but I can sure get passion out of you about Walmart. That's pretty amazing. So back to vampires. When you see a vampire, are you really seeing one? And trying to stay away from politics, but ideas themselves. But when you look at a society where 40% and 40% always go a certain way, you have to start thinking, especially if they're dogmatic about it, you have to start thinking about what are the underlying things that you believe that make you think that half the country has lost their mind. And it's simply unlikely. Remembering this, that vampires are horrible and Walmart is terrible, unless of course you need to shop at Walmart to save money and the vampire happens to be very good looking, and then apparently you can write books and movies and make millions of dollars if he's, it's okay to be bitten if you're just good looking enough, I've been taken aback many times in my life because I've been accused of being closed-minded or not open-minded or judgmental and all these things, and I'm a very introspective person, maybe not initially, I have good defenses like most people, but I look inward after somebody criticizes me, sometimes for an hour, sometimes for days, sometimes for weeks, that I'll think about it, on and off. And I felt after thinking about this for much time, I tend to say what I think and talk about what I think, and I tend to put a little bit of energy behind it because it's something I believe. It's not belief to the point of going to war for it or something like that, but it is a belief that I hold. So I think that's often taken by other people as judgment, as condemnation. So I finally came up with this statement to help people when they feel like or I look at somebody else and feel like they're being closed-minded. Because there's a point where your judgments become so aggressive that they're no longer healthy. They're very scary. You're at high DEFCON whatever terrible, where your mind is shut off, and we've seen a lot of that lately, where your mind shuts off. There is no debating anymore because my mind is made up. You're evil, I'm good. Your thoughts are bad, mine are perfect. And when we get there, God help us all to know what we're doing, to think it through. Or do you really want to be in that position? Are you going to be okay with that position 5 years from now? So I really like America, and I like the fact of freedom. That happens to go well with my personality. Other personalities like more controlled atmospheres and a little less freedom, more safety, less risk. And I understand all those things, and I think we can all work together to be in the same place. So I've adopted this concept, and I try to spread it as much as I can, that yes, I judge, and I judge often, but I rarely condemn. There are some things where I've made up my mind that that's never acceptable. And I think there are some things that people do in this world where you give up your ticket to be in this world, and that could be very controversial. So we must judge. We have to judge. We judge everything we do in the morning, whether we're going to brush our teeth, make our breakfast, go out the door, go to work, not go to work, take a nap, not take a nap, take your vitamins, exercise, eat that big candy bar, or whatever it is you're going to do. We make judgments all day long. You pull out your driveway, whether you should go or not. It's a little too close, a little too far. We make these judgments, and it's okay. But judging without condemning, that's the tough part. When we're alone and by ourselves, when we have control and autonomy, we start getting an insight into where we are in our heart. I went through a short time of depression myself at one point, and when I came out of the depression, I had this underlying anger all the time, and frustration, anger, and maybe mixed in with a little anxiety for good work. And I couldn't figure out what to do with it for the longest time. And I realized that a lot of it has to do with what I've talked a lot about, and that is letting go. Letting go, let the universe take care of it, it'll be okay. Judge, don't condemn. And the more I train my mind to do that, the easier it becomes to do that. When you're watching the news or listening to the radio, or you're chosen, whatever it is, whatever your lean is in this world, what do you do? What do the people you listen to say about other people? And other people, especially other people that have a lot of people that like them. That doesn't make it right, but I'm just saying it should at least clue in your mind that a lot of people think differently than I do, so there may be something I'm missing. And why are the people I'm listening to so intent on condemning these other people? If you can answer those questions and you're okay with it, that's good. But you want to test yourself. You want to make sure that you are on the right side of history, if you will, or just on the right side. We want to join together. And a phenomenon that you'll see often in politics or finance or whatever, that somebody has this really dogmatic opinion. Well, is that dogmatic opinion helping a lot of people, or is it hurting a lot of people? Is there proof that it's helping? Is it helping over the long term? What is it going to look like 10 or 15 or 20 years? How does that end, or does it end? Why is it that so many leaders get their backing or get their followers based on disliking a group of people? I ask myself that. I want to think about that and be open-minded about that. There used to be a popular saying, live and let live. I believe deeply in live and let live, as long as that your living is not hurting somebody else in any severe respect. I'm not talking about offending them or making them feel bad about themselves or whatever. We can deal with that, but I'm saying really violating somebody's personal space. Getting back to vampires, how do vampires, the silly title, fit into all this? It's just a way to demonstrate that something that appears to be bad can be good, and throw a little humor in. And I'm forced at this point to bring back Treebeard from The Lord of the Rings into this conversation. And one of the famous quotes of him is, I'm on nobody's side because nobody's on my side. And yet Treebeard went and did the right thing and helped save the world from the evil Sauron, right? Though he wasn't choosing sides, he chose to do the right thing. When you're told to hate somebody, or that they're evil, or that they're doing all these horrible things, and they're showing you little snippets of proof that how evil they are, somebody could do that to you. We could pick apart every time you said a bad word, every time you got mad, every time you ignored somebody. We can make anybody look bad. So we want to look at the overall tenor of somebody's life and then give them an opportunity to prove or to show that they are just another human being trying to help society. We all make mistakes. We all need to be tempered, right? So wrapping it up, remember, don't condemn vampires without knowing the full truth. A vampire may save your life someday, right? So let's try to make friends with vampires. I love you guys. Hope this was an encouraging word. And we'll have more of Did You Know series coming up. God bless. Bye.